So there's only 5 of them today, and they're all pretty easy. Number 1, LGBT. We already talked about this. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender. Transgender, I will say, I actually Googled this, did like a Google search maybe a month or 2 ago. I was confused. The difference between transgender, transsexual, and I think there's another one, transvestite. Transvestite. Transvestite means a man who wears women's clothes, or vice versa, a woman who wears men's clothes, but usually more common, a man who wears women's clothes. But I think, from my understanding of it, like I said, I just did a Google search, a transvestite man does not think he's a woman. He does not identify himself as a woman, just he likes to wear women's clothes sometimes, or all the time, whatever. That's transvestite. I'm still a little bit confused about the difference between transsexual and transgender. Actually, I still don't 100% understand. I think transsexual is someone who actually identifies as the opposite or wants to switch. And maybe transgender means like it's like an umbrella term, means both of them. I'm still not sure. But I know for a fact transvestite just wears women's clothes. Trans, a lot of times you would hear tranny. Tranny. In Thailand, there are many trannies, or we sometimes say ladyboys.
Oh, ladyboy.
And even then, I'm not sure. For a man who wants to become a woman, I'm not sure what to call them. You know, and some of them, I'm gonna use a little bit graphic language. Some of them still have a penis, right? But some of them have surgery actually, and change to have a vagina. So I don't know what is the right term to call everyone. So even I'm not sure. A month or 2 ago, I was trying to search. Oh, how do I call that? How do I call that? But trans means usually someone who wants to switch. LGBT. Acquaint is a verb. It means to make someone aware of or familiar with. This word, if you know the noun acquaintance, an acquaintance means someone that I know. And we usually use, I'm talking about the noun form, acquaintance, ends with A-N-C-E. We use this word quite often as if you want to express that someone, you know them, you've met them before, but they're not your friend. We use the word acquaintance. That is because the verb acquaint means to become familiar with, to know. So I met this person. I know who they are. I know her name, but we are not very close. So she is my acquaintance. You can use that for people, but you can also use it for things. And you usually say has become acquainted with, or you can say to acquaint yourself with. If I have to do some project in my work and it involves a topic that I'm not familiar with, maybe it involves farming. Maybe I can read some books or I can study online to acquaint myself with farming. I'm not going to become an expert in it and I'm not going to know it very well, but I at least want to acquaint myself with farming. I just know a little bit about it. I can know some terms. So that is acquaint. Army draftee comes from the word draft, which is a verb, to draft. And that means the country, usually. For example, USA, I think we only had a draft, 2 times. World War II and Vietnam War. They had a draft. They drafted, so you can use that word as a verb or a noun. They drafted people. So when they draft you, I think they did it by like birthday, right? Everyone who was born in this month or everyone who was born on these days, you gotta come. You have no choice. I wasn't alive back then and I didn't study. I'm not sure. Maybe World War II, maybe they just drafted everyone. I don't know. I'm pretty sure during the Vietnam War they did it by like birthday. And then you had, especially for the Vietnam War, you had some people who they were drafted but they did not want to go. Maybe they had a moral issue or a problem with war, a problem with fighting. So some people went to Canada or something like that. And the term for these people, they were called draft dodgers. To dodge means to miss something, right? Dodgeball. You guys call it pigu, right?
Yeah.
We call it dodgeball because the word dodge means to something is coming at you and you like Matrix, right? So they were called draft dodgers.
How about Dodgers? LA Dodgers. Why they are Dodgers?
That's a good. I thought of that as I was explaining to you because what's his name? The famous Dodger pitcher. What's his name?
Ryu.
Comes in. Yeah, I thought about that. I don't know because you don't really do dodging in baseball, do you?
No.
Maybe someone is throwing at your head. Right? I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe we can research that. So that is to draft. And I wanted to say also, there's another word that is used sometimes called conscription. Conscription is sometimes used when the, I know for some reason World War II was a draft. Vietnam was a draft. For some reason, when we talk about the Civil War, they tend to use the word conscription, which is a very similar word. There may be a slight difference. It may be kind of the same thing. Maybe conscription is more similar to what Korea does, where all the guys must go. Maybe conscription is more similar to that. Because actually, I think when in English, when we're talking about how Korea's military system and how every guy must go, I think we also use the word conscription. We don't call that a draft. A draft is when there's a war and suddenly you need people. Conscription is more, I think, similar to what Korea does, where every guy must go. Conscription. And number 4, commission. This word has 2 meanings. The first one we will talk about is as a verb, the act of granting certain powers or authority to carry out a particular task or duty. If you commission something, it's kind of like you're allowing them this power. You're giving them authority that you can do this. The example sentence, Danny was commissioned to represent the country in the diplomatic conference held in Russia. So they are giving him that power. They are giving him that authority. It's used a lot with government terms like this.
Can we use delegate in this context?
In that sentence,
Yes.
delegated would be a similar term that you could probably use in that sentence. It's very similar, yeah, similar word. That's a good synonym. The word commission can also be used as a noun. It has a different meaning. If you have a job that is based on commission, maybe you know that word. Many sales jobs have commission. If I sell $10,000 unit, I get 1,000. I have a 10% commission. 1,000 and it goes directly to me. Or if I sell a certain number, I get some commission. So it has another meaning. And the last one, to come up with. This is pretty easy. To bring forth, to discover, or to produce. You have to come up with a solution to the problem before the time runs out. You have to come up with, you have to make, or you have to produce. A lot of times it's used with idea. I came up with this idea. When we were talking about, that's a very common phrase. Who came up with this? Like who made this idea? Oh, I came up with it. This is my idea. I came up with that idea while I was at home cooking. The idea suddenly came to me. The idea suddenly came to me to come up with. It's used a lot with ideas or thoughts. Also, you could use for objects such as money. Maybe I have a gambling problem, and I owe the guy $10,000, and he's gonna beat me up if I don't give him the $10,000. But I don't have it. But suddenly, I was able to come up with the money. I was able to, maybe I asked my friend, or maybe I robbed the bank, whatever. I was able to come up with the money. I produced it. I found it. I did it. So those are the 5 vocabulary words. Any questions about those 5 terms?